This episode of the Barclay Street podcast is presented by the Victorian Responsible Gambling Foundation, a proud partner of the Bulldogs. Join us in helping kids understand the importance of loving the game, not the odds. For tips on talking to your kids about the risks of sports betting, visit lovethegame.vic.gov.au. Hello and welcome to a finals edition of the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street, and it's a winning streak this week, and thank the Almighty that it is a winning streak this week. He's freshly shaven, he's had a win, he had 8 spoils. Any danger of just turning those into some intercept marks, but we can't quibble about the details. Eastonwood, whose lip seemingly is still in recovery, joins us on Barclay Street.
That made me self-conscious, Bubba. I know it's a podcast, but the camera's on. The beard was hiding it quite well, but yes, he's recovering. Mate, it was a wet day. It's hard to mark the ball when it's wet. I mean, we can't all just get handball receives, mate. I mean, it's coming in a bit hot.
Oh, that's how it's going to be, is it?
Well, you set the tone, and I follow.
That's how it's going to be. Hey, mate, well done. It was a pretty emphatic performance, a pretty important one. There was a lot of pressure on it. I think, blind Freddie could have told you that there was a lot at stake. The team had been, in a bit of a rut for a few weeks. You go in as heavy favourites, but the Bombers are they're a side, on the improve, and they came out firing. How was it out there?
Yeah, look, mate, it was great to get the win, and I was really pleased in the way that we did it. Like, as you said, the Bombers really came out firing, and it was such an arm wrestle, particularly for that first half. I mean, probably in the first quarter they got the better of us in a couple of ways, but I think we held up really well, and we were really comfortable within that arm wrestle. I mean, Darcy Parish in the second quarter was quite outstanding in his ability to win the ball inside and break that bubble. Is he now in the top bracket, do you think, Darcy Parish, of midfielders in the comp? If he's not there, he's knocking on the door.
Right.
But that's probably as good a quarter as you'll see from anyone this year, really. Yeah. But I mean, we held up really well. He was able to do, and Essendon were able to get some territory. But defensively, I thought we did a really good job being able to withstand and maintain our structure as a part of that. Whereas last time we played them, they really got the better of us out of the middle. I think they kicked 6 goals from centre bound. Obviously, it's a different game going from Marvel when it's no wind and dry to Launceston raining and slippery. But we held up really well, and then in the second half, we looked a lot better around the ball. Our mids did an exceptional job, both winning and containing the ball in there, and it started to we built some momentum, and we just took everything away from the Dons, and it was bloody great. It felt as we talk about the vibe a lot, Bubbo. It felt really connected. It was that spread of performance where everyone's having moments, and those moments build up, and just get that momentum. And that was probably the story of the day.
What was the atmosphere like? So the conditions, was it wet right from the start? Like, was it rainy? It's sometimes it's hard to tell.
It was a little bit, but it was spitting for a fair bit of it, but there were kind of dry patches in between. And but probably towards the end of the game, it was wet enough that the ball started to get quite heavy. And not that I really didn't get that many kicks, so it didn't affect me too much, to Bubbo. But some of the boys were saying that it was hard to kick the ball. So
you'd heard from the others.
I mean, my fist was getting sore each time I spoiled, but apart from that,
what about the Tassie crowd? Were they big in voice and atmosphere?
They were, but it felt like an Essendon home game. Yeah. The Dons supporters really came out in numbers down here in Lonnie. So shout out to our dogs supporters down here that managed to make it along. But I was getting real vibes back in real 2016 vibes in the prelim final when we played the Giants at their home ground and had our home crowd.
When they ran out to their
Giants
home ground,
running out and getting booed. one of the all-time great moments. That, but yeah, it was just great to be playing in front of a crowd, albeit a heavily biased one in that game.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll face that again this weekend. It's just great to be playing in front of the crowd.
So you look like you're in a very nice little quaint hotel room there. Where are you now? You're still in Tassie, in Launceston?
Yeah, still in Tassie, still in Launceston, in the same spot we were. Quaint is a good word for it. I feel like it's gone a little bit back in time. I feel like we've walked back into the early 90s. Quite dated. And we are in quite strict. Hey?
Quite dated. Cop that little drive-by. little bit of a decor slap.
Spitting facts, Bubba. Just spitting facts, mate. It's not exactly groundbreaking.
Eastern was drifting into a bit of Shayna Blaze there, just for a brief moment in time. Gee whiz.
Could do with an update. That's all I'm saying. Could do with an update. Shayna would do wonders on this place, mate. That's all I'm saying. But look, it has been quite strict here, which totally makes sense. And I can illustrate that to you in my room. This is my TV remote. For those who aren't watching YouTube at the moment, I'm holding up my TV remote, which is in a Glad bag.
So just to ask a naive, dumb question. So your remotes are in a plastic bag so that you, the dirty Victorian, doesn't touch the remote to pass on.
I'm unsure whether it's a bit of, not sure whether it was because it's been sanitized. So, or really, if it's now when it comes out of the bag, they just throw it away. I don't know what's going on with it, Bubba, but there's a few few things in place here that don't make a whole lot of sense. That might be one of them.
Okay.
But
okay.
The staff all wearing masks and goggles. The goggles have got quite a laugh at different times, but I mean, yeah.
Are you
not being facetious? I'm talking, COVID safe, and when you need to be COVID safe and scuba at a moment's notice.
Oh, for crying out loud! Oh well, I mean, these are the things you got. These are the sacrifices it takes to charge your way to hopefully a tilt at the big one. What did you make of the team on the weekend, specifically the mids? Let's talk about Libba. He was, it was a kind of recipe for Tom to have a good day, but he was pretty sensational.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Just the way that he's so clean with his hands in those wet conditions. We know he's an artist with his hands. Really, you sit back in awe in meetings at times. Did I steal that from you? Did I?
I don't know.
It feels like I tried to be you for a moment. It felt a bit odd. It felt pretty good off the tongue, but I mean, I wasn't expecting your reaction, so now I'm a bit self-conscious and a bit unsure of what's coming back that way.
It did feel a bit Diet Bob Murphy, just sort of watered down version, which is sort of your stock in trade. Let's be honest. But no, keep going. I liked it, to be honest. But he was sensational, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was brilliant. And I mean, it wasn't just him, but Jacko McRae in there, Bonte, they all did such a good job in being able to contain, be clean, and take ground for us. Like we always know those wet games that have wind, the more territory you can gain, the more pressure you can build. And it just seemed like we got the better of that battle. And it was huge as well with Dunks being able to go to, I think, to Parrish at half time, and quell his influence and really change the dynamics of what was kind of happening within there. And they did a bloody good job. And Louis Young, I thought, was a great contributor in the ruck, being able to really fight tooth and nail and contain things.
You got better as it went. You got better as it went, Louis. I think he won a lot of Bulldog hearts at home when it was Zach Merritt, I think, shoved Lockie in the back as he was on the ground, and Louis came in to insert his physical influence, and that's the
how good is that? That's exactly what you want from a ruckman. If someone whacks one of your mates while they're down and they're on their back and they can't see it coming, for Louis to run and do that was awesome.
It was a nice moment. I reckon.
That's one of those really good team lifting things where you're like, okay, that's
it means
enough to you.
certainly sitting on the couch at home, I think that would have warmed the hearts of a lot of Bulldog supporters. So well done to Louis. Mate, what did you make of Cody Weightman's game? Purely as a game first, and then we'll talk about the sort of the online backlash in a moment.
Yes.
Which I've got a bit to get off my chest about that. But,
can we start with his smother at the start of the game?
Yeah,
we've had the segment at a few years ago at our club of the Smother Teresa, which is the mother of all smothers.
But we need to paint the picture, because there's the tiered level of. So there was Smothers milk was if you just get fingertips on it. Like it just,
it's really you're kind of just lucky that you just accidentally got hit. You were just just there.
Yeah, you've got, but the ball is technically touched. That's Smothers milk. Then the next one is Smother Nature, where you have attempted to smother.
No. Isn't it Waylon Smothers next?
Oh, I've forgotten.
Waylon.
Waylon Smothers. Oh God.
So Waylon Smothers is worth 2 points, where you make a fantastic spoil, but you're not fully off the ground, fully committed, but you have made it's an in between. It's a good smother, but it's not a great get off your seat smother.
Yeah. And then third was Smother Nature.
Yeah.
Which was that's a proper, so like that's the real deal. That's your fully committed go. But then there was this rarefied air of Smother Teresa, which is the full like.
You have to be fully off the ground.
It's like Superman dive. Oh!
I regret nothing. It's everything you got. It's just
it's like
you got. Yeah, and you get it. You get every bit of it. And it's just the greatest thing since sliced bread. So that's Cody's start to the game. Full extension, fully off the ground, gets it absolutely clean. And I think just as a small forward, having played as a forward in the pre-season in 2018, I know how hard it is to play there. But sometimes that's all your role is, to put on that pressure and just to try and make it hard. And for him to set his foundation of his game and base it on that is just so great to see, because he's getting the rewards off it, for him to start and have that impact with that smother, and then to just keep getting in position to win the ball. Obviously, there's a lot to be said from here about the free kicks, but he keeps putting himself in position to be hard to play against, and making the defence make a play against him, and he just keeps rising because he's better. He's got multiple efforts, and he takes his chances, which is the hallmark of a great forward. And it was a brilliant game. I thought he was our best player for the day. Had the most influence on the game. Yeah. At a time that was most critical, when the game was kind of in the balance in the first half. And it's his first final, Bubba.
Yeah.
That's that for the first final.
Yeah, he was sensational. I love the way he plays. There was a couple of lucky free kicks. There was one really lucky one that was just a bad error by the umpire. But he doesn't play for him. He plays with pure joy. He's not an agitator. He's not an in the face. He's not, which is fine, because there's a place for Hayden Ballantyne in the game. I actually sort of take my hat off to those, but Cody's not that. People are trying to put him on. It's not that.
I get you, but I think it's the other way. I think he enjoys the game so much that's what gets under the skin of opposition and opposition fans. And I totally get that, because when he's up and about, it means he's kicking goals and doing good things, and he's reveling in that childish joy of just like that energetic come on. Like, it's just so good to see. No wonder that riles people up the wrong way.
Sometimes the footy world, as we call it, the footy world, or let's call it the footy swamp of social media, that they have a hard time. It's like being in a pub where there's someone laughing too loudly. It's like, oh, why are they having so much fun?
Yeah.
So, I don't know about that. Why are you're having so much fun? You're making me miserable. That's what Cody Weightman is. He's having fun.
100%.
For any young kids who follow the Bulldogs, and you want to play one day, you could do a lot worse and follow the traits of Cody Weightman. Hey, Toja, let's have a little break, and after that, we'll welcome back, some more Bulldog royalty. We just keep rolling in the big names. We've gone from Brad Johnson to Salek. Well, they don't get much bigger than Rohan Smith, and he'll be coming up right after the break. Welcome back to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street. And oh boy, has it been tougher than it usually is just to get this thing up and running. We are welcoming, he's one of the all-time Bulldog greats. He is perhaps technically more of a Luddite than I am, and I didn't think that was possible. He's fired up the Commodore 64. He's cunt on the Nintendo. He's got Windows 95 all in a row. And we have got Rowan Smith on Barclay Street. Rowan, all the way from Lonnie. How are you, brother? What's happening?
Absolutely magnificent, mate. I love seeing you blokes. I just looking at you on the screen now. it's just made my day. Absolutely.
It's one of the great things about this podcast, I must say, particularly talking to you. And we had Jono on a couple of weeks ago, and Archie last week. It does sort of bring it back straight away. You know, the connection you have with people and how much you miss the times you spend together. So from the bottom of my heart, we usually do this at the end of the episode, Bub, but it's so good to see you. I do miss you. Mate, what'd you make of the weekend? There was a lot of pressure on the boys. And the Bombers going okay. We were talking to Woody before about, and they brought some real heat, but it was a hell of a game.
Yeah, it was, Bob. And the boys just played a brilliant game. There was a little bit of nervousness probably going into the game, but we probably, for the whole week, we focused on, what we can do rather than what we haven't been doing. And that's probably been a pretty big theme for the last couple of weeks. And we knew we probably weren't too far away from the Port Adelaide game. And in the end, we said that, Port Adelaide were good enough and finished on the ladder. They won their first final and went straight into a prelim, and we lost by 2 points a week before. So we weren't too far away. The connectivity was close, and it came to fruition on the weekend. It was pretty much of a struggle in that first half, but once the boys got going in that second half, geez, it was good to watch.
Yeah, I had we all know the coach very well, and he's famous for his themes and his ability to gather a group and inspire. I heard he was in pretty good form down in Tassie. Is there, without giving away too many in-house secrets, was it a good pre-game from the Cockroach?
It was, and it was pretty passionate too, Bob. It was probably the most passionate I've seen him for a while. We know that he's a very caring and empathetic person, and that passion is really comes from the heart. But the way that he spoke to the boys before the game on the weekend, I tell you, when you're sitting in the room and you're like, I just want to get
come
out.
On, let's go.
Come on, let's just bounce that ball for God's sake. And he was just brilliant. But just looking around the room, the way that he was speaking to the boys, you could actually see it in their eyes, and it was a really good feeling, wasn't it, Woody?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. As you said, you're kind of getting closer and closer to the edge of that seat, and you're just ready to get out there and go. And those preambles are always about. I don't really remember too much of what is said normally, but I always remember how I feel, and just that escalation of your adrenaline and your endorphins get going. And it was a great one to lead into and springboard off.
We've had a lot of that feedback from this podcast, Barclay Street. The people often don't remember what we say, but they do feel really inspired. That's just some of
the... Because I've yet to be tweeted that. Or told.
I maybe have gone off. Someone said it. Someone said it once. That's enough. Maybe they didn't.
The only feedback I get is from my best mates and how much they enjoy you ripping the shit out of me every week.
Hey, Bubba, I do have a question actually, just on that though. Yeah. And I played with you for a bloody long time, and coached by you for a number of years as well. And your passion and emotion has always been the thing that comes to mind when I think of you, and when people think of you. I reckon internally. Is part of your development as a coach, though, has it been the ability to harness that emotion and put it in its right place without it sort of clouding your judgment, if that makes sense?
Yeah, definitely, Bob. I've nearly been an assistant coach now at the Dogs for 10 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, I know it's gone pretty quick, hasn't it, mate? But you're spot on. Like, you can't sort of you can be passionate, but you can't let it really run your emotions. I do get very passionate sometimes, and even now probably Woody won't remember at 3/4 time on the weekend, but Gardy had sort of just been had checked Aaron Francis, and there was a bit of a scuffle, and we all came together, and the boys started getting on top, and I was really emotional and very passionate, I suppose, at 3/4 time. And I said to the boys after the game, geez, was I a little bit over the top? And CD goes, oh no, I loved it. So you've got to pick your time. You've got to pick passionate and really try and rev them up, I suppose, and give them a little bit of a spark. And then there's times where you've got to be a little bit more calmer and talk to the boys and especially just coming up with solutions and trying to help them be better in a game. So that's where I've really probably grown.
Yeah. So looking forward to this week, take on Brisbane up there. It's going to be a night game. So the AFL didn't quite give us the green light we're hoping for in terms of logistics, but that just goes out the window now. It's just all about the mission. I completely understand that. But there's some challenges, haven't they? Particularly for the, you're the backs coach, Woody. You're down there leading that group. They've got some weapons, don't they? How's the early prep for those guys looking?
Yeah, I was having a look on the computer last night, Bob, and they're a pretty good side, and especially up the Gabba. It's just such a fast track, and they move the footy so well. We did talk about during the week how important our centre bounce was, and how important our midfielders are, probably to help out there, down back, and Woody can probably talk about it in a minute, but that'll be another focus again this week, and. If we can really help each other down there, Danaher, Cameron, all these, McCarthy, all these players down there, they're really potent forwards who can, sort of be out of their game a little bit for 20 minutes and then bob up and kick 3 or 4 in about 5 or 6 minutes. So we've really got to make sure that we're on the whole time. It's another knockout final. You've played in them, Bob. They are so important every single minute, every single contest. But the boys have got to be calm and relaxed and know that they've done the work and, take confidence out of last week and really take it and springboard it into this week as well.
How much personal pride do we all take? We're all sort of halfback flankers, Eastern kind of a less glamorous version than you and I, Bub. But Bailey Dale being in the All-Australian.
Just gets the dirty stuff done.
Just trying not to...
Just got to defensive guys up the halfback. So I suppose you classified as defenders, but did you really defend?
Well, before our time, Bob, we were.
We were. Oh, now it's all, you need a run and gun halfback flanker. Look, far be it for us to call ourselves pioneers of the game. Hey, Bub, you and I live by the mantra, don't tackle, don't get tackled. But you can't. You can't.
And the best defense is offense. You don't have to defend when you got the ball.
And you keep it off the.
But Bub must have given you enormous pride to see Bailey named on the halfback flank in the All-Australian team. Thoroughly deserved.
Oh yeah, it was brilliant, Bob. Talking to Bales, over the last couple of weeks, and when he initially got named into the 40-man squad, that's even a great recognition for his year. But the way that he's turned his game around, it was pre-season game against Hawthorn. We're going, rightio, Bales, you're going to go back and play on a halfback flank, and he just hasn't looked back.
It's unbelievable. It's actually
it's genuinely staggering to not have ever played there before, to be thrown there in a pre-season game, not even having the lead up of being told in November or December, this is where you're going to play, get your head around it. It was just bang, thrown in, and then all of a sudden he's the best halfback flanker in the game for that year. It's bloody steak. It's mind blowing.
It makes you wonder how much it kind of cost us that year that Bevo tried the same thing with you forward, Woody, and it didn't work out quite. Just imagine what it could have done for us as a team.
I'm trying to think of something clever to say, but I literally have no defence. It was just excruciating.
It just is such a different story to tell.
So that year I played as a forward and didn't kick a goal. Kick more goals this year as a back.
Old Daniel Coy, old decoy. Hey, Bubba, we don't have you for much time because we know you're busy planning for the Lions and the preparation that goes into that, both on the magnet board and just with the relationships of the players. We do have 4 stock questions we like to ask our guests that come on Barclay Street every week, and you've been very generous with your time this week. I mean, I don't know how generous. Sometimes I wonder, you blokes coming on are very generous, and then other times when I see you're in lockdown in Tassie, you think, well, you've got stuff all else on, and you probably, it's really don't take that much effort at all. But having said all of that,
good observation.
We've got questions for you. The first one is, now you've been an assistant coach, you've spent a lifetime in footy, but let's just say it all blows up. Footy's had enough of you, it spits you out. And the only job you've been offered is that of an exotic dancer on the P&O Fair Star. And part of that job requirement is you have to come up with a stage name, and the stage name is the street you were born, the street you grew up on, and your first pet's name. What would that be for you? What was that?
Anglers Pal.
Anglers Pal.
I grew up in Angler Street in Yarraville.
Yeah.
And my first dog's name was Pal.
Anglers Pal. Hey, Woody, can you remember what Jono's was?
Oh, it was a double B. It was like, Bart Bergman or something. But
fuck. Oh man.
It was the greatest one ever, and I've forgotten it. Which is a shame.
I can't remember Jono's the street he grew up in.
Yeah, it was B. It was something Buck. It was really.
That's it, Buck.
It was really sensual.
Bellbridge Buck or something.
Buck Baggett. It was Buck Baggett.
It was a real sort of sensual cowboy feel.
Yeah, old Buck Baggett.
What do you ask the next? You got the next question for Bubba?
Now this, I'm intrigued to know this one, Bub, because when we were growing up, the question for this is, what was your very first ever email address? Obviously, when we were growing up, internet was a buzz. It was a brand new thing. You might have been out of school when this kind of happened, though, so you might have been a bit more sensible. But do you remember your very first ever email address, and was it embarrassing? Please tell me it was embarrassing.
Nah, see, like, I mean, like what you're saying, Woody, like, I know our kids, Keely and Jacob had these crazy, Gmail, email addresses.
Jacob would have had a shocker. What did Jacob have? Come on.
Jacob was basketball star 23, something like. But really, I didn't have. I think mine was just my initials and number 5.
You put all your energy into personalised number plates, didn't you, Bub? It was all about Bubba 5.
What happened to that, Bub? Did you have an epiphany and just get rid of it? Like, at what point did it change from being, this is the best thing ever, I'm following through with this, to it's time to go?
Right, you're an absolute wanker, you got to sell them.
Oh, that's very good. All right, next question, Bub. Yeah. Next question is, what was the movie that terrified you as a young child?
Oh, yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Who's in that?
Freddie, as he's walking down the Freddy Krueger, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So as he's walking down the alley, he's scraping his hands on bricks, and I'm like, oh, no, thank you. I made my dad watch it with me on a Saturday afternoon. That's how scary it was.
The premise of Freddie getting you when you fall asleep is just the most genius idea of.
It is. It just stays with you. You can't.
Because they knew we were watching it as sleepovers at friends' houses, and then it's like, I'm getting tired.
Don't go to sleep.
I'm getting tired. I don't want to go to sleep. I don't want to go to sleep.
Oh God!
Righto, Woody, you want to finish off? Bring us home, brother.
The best question of the lot, Bub. The great Archie Salek. We had him on last week. It was bloody brilliant. He was at some of his all-time best with his stories that he was telling. Him the hamburger, done a lot. His 250 games of shit football and not letting him down. Just absolutely brilliant.
Just played the classics. Yeah,
just played the classics. That's it. But the question is, what's his nickname for you? And has it changed over the years, or is it the classic been saying the same thing for you? Probably for 25 years, I'd reckon.
Yeah. For 26, my very first pre-season, Archie was the greyhound at the tan track where he just used to run off and everyone else had to chase him. So I've known Archie.
What do you mean? How, like, as in he'd be leading the running?
He used to join in pre-season running.
And
so
lead?
My very first,
what?
And he used to
what are you?
And he used to just whip himself on.
For those that haven't seen Archie run before, his knees and hips have been gone for decades, and it looks uncomfortable for Arch to walk, let alone run. So the idea of Arch running at the start of a pre-season race is mind-bending.
Yeah,
there was a long time ago. But mine, I think my nickname from Arch is really simple. He just called me RS, and then that stands for razor sharp as well. Hello, RS. Razor sharp.
Not to be confused with Rowan Smith. No, definitely not RS. Nothing to do with the initials whatsoever.
That is a total coincidence, the fact that RS is also Rowan Smith. It's all about razor sharp. Man. Hey, Bub, mate, thanks so much for stopping by Barclay Street. We really appreciate your time. I know it's a busy week, busy time of year. It's always good for Bulldog supporters to hear from you, but especially from an old teammate like me. I love seeing your smiling face. The passion you have for the club and the jumper and the players you coach is always genuine, and it comes through. And I miss you, but we're in your corner with you, and we ride all the bumps with you along the way. So good luck against the Lions, mate.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me. Love yous.
Thanks.
Good on yous,
brother.
Go
up.